and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on. I'm awash with this stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavour show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of the UK's second-largest city, Birmingham.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. You send us the sources, and we dig through them to pull out what really matters. Saves you the time, basically.
Exactly. And today we're tackling an audio source Thursday's episode of The Archers on BBC Radio 4.
Right, and our mission here is to get a handle on the main events in Ambridge right now. What are the key developments, the sort of underlying tensions, maybe where things are heading, give you a solid grasp.
And it's interesting, isn't it, how just one episode, especially after a major event like Peggy Archer's death, can show so much about the community. It's really a snapshot.
Okay, so let's start with the vicar, Allan. He seems to be really wrestling with his sermon for Sunday.
Mm-hmm. He's picked that text, Matthew 5.9, blessed are the peacemakers.
For they shall be called the children of God.
Yeah. And it seems like it's really got him thinking.
Oh yeah, what is a peacemaker? What is peace, actually? He's questioning if, the people in charge are really making peace.
Or if peace just means, quiet compliance, silence. Exactly. That line about peace being mistaken for silence or unquestioning compliance, that really jumps out. It makes you think, doesn't it? What does peace mean?
For sure. Not just, globally, but right there in Ambridge. Or in any community, really. Is it just avoiding Rose, or is it something more active?
And you wonder if his struggle kind of mirrors something bigger happening, or maybe about to happen, in Ambridge. Vicars in these stories often act as a sort of moral barometer.
Yeah, maybe his unease points to something deeper. Okay, let's shift to the practical stuff. Peggy's funeral.
Right, the arrangements. Allan needs to meet Kate and Helen.
And the expectation, initially anyway, is, very traditional. Psalm 23.
The usual hymns, the day thou gavest, how great thou art. Things you'd expect.
Which sort of fits the image of Peggy, right? Traditional pillar of the community.
Definitely. But then there's this hint that maybe she planned her own service, something potentially unconventional.
Yeah, the mention of Beyonce. Or chapel ran.
Oh, yeah. That's quite the contrast, isn't it? Beyonce at Peggy Archer's funeral.
It's a total curveball.
Mm-hmm.
It really plays into that shock factor they mentioned. Makes you completely rethink things.
It does. You start wondering, okay, what else don't we know about Peggy? Seems she kept a few surprises up her sleeve, even for her final wishes.
And there's already a bit of oddness around these plans. Helen mentions this awkward request from Peggy.
Needs moral support for the meeting. That flags something up immediately.
And she's trying to figure out who else got this email the night before. Seems like not everyone did.
Secrecy. And Tom had mentioned something similar, didn't he? Not sure if he should tell Adam.
Right. So Peggy seems to be maybe orchestrating things a bit. Even now, it definitely builds some intrigue around her final wishes and, family dynamics.
For sure. What could be so awkward? And why the selective emails? Lots of questions there.
Okay, then there's a quick mention of Henry. He's apparently thrilled with, £278.94.
Decent bit of pocket money for him.
Yeah, but the more interesting bit, perhaps, is he's suddenly into cricket. Because of a new games teacher.
Seems a bit out of left field, maybe.
A little. But you know how these things work in Ambridge. A small personal thing could link up later.
Could do. Like with the village cricket team, maybe? Allan's having trouble with players, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Rex and the cricket team. Allan's clearly disappointed, thinks Rex is unreliable.
And Lily's suggestion about Henry and Khalil joining up, well, that's nice for the future, maybe, but doesn't help Allan now.
No. It just sort of highlights those everyday struggles, keeping things like the village team going. Allan's frustration is pretty clear.
You can tell he really cares about it.
Okay, back to Peggy's will, because this is fascinating. Brian reveals she's left money for a piece of art.
A natural artwork, yeah. To reflect the whole rewilding Ambridge thing.
That feels unexpected, doesn't it? Given her more traditional side.
On the surface, maybe? But she was quite involved in the rewilding project lately, wasn't she? So maybe it shows her evolving, wanting to leave that kind of legacy. More forward-thinking than we perhaps gave her credit for.
And the ideas flying around for this artwork. A musical thing powered by the sun, wood carvings.
Standing stone, even a giant longhorn statue.
It does spark the imagination. But what's interesting is the concern about, wildlife.
Right. They want to make sure the artwork actually fits the rewilding ethos, doesn't disturb things. That feels important.
Shows a genuine commitment. And they're talking about a family meeting to decide. Seems sensible.
Crucial, probably. Make sure everyone's on board and it truly reflects Peggy.
Okay, amidst all this plot stuff, we also get this moment with Rex. He's doing some pretty deep thinking.
Yeah, feeling maybe too young to just settle, questioning if he avoids emotional risks.
And wondering how people even know if they found the one. It's quite personal.
It is. It's a nice counterpoint, actually. It reminds you that while the big community events unfold, everyone's got their own internal stuff going on.
Brian's advice is interesting, too. Coming from him, the supposed risk-taker, saying a simple life is okay.
Yeah, it kind of echoes the vicar's thoughts on peace, doesn't it? Finding contentment, maybe, in different ways.
Okay, but then we get what feels like the main bombshell of the episode, regarding the funeral itself.
Ah, yes. Allan meets Helen and Natasha, thinking it's about hymns and readings.
And bam. Peggy specifically asked for another vicar, someone called Crispin, from the Laurels.
Yep. Not Allan. He's been completely bypassed.
How do you read Allan's reaction? He says he's not personally rejected, but...
You can tell he's upset. And his worry seems genuine that this Crispin guy won't know Peggy, won't know the family, can't give it that personal touch.
And he wonders if it's connected to him helping with Rob's christening. Adds another layer, doesn't it?
It really does. It challenges his whole position in the village, in a way.
But despite feeling, pretty blindsided, his first thought is making sure the church looks perfect.
Says a lot about him, doesn't it? That sense of duty. Even when he's been knocked back.
Definitely. Okay, lastly, a quick look at the tea room finances. Natasha's working from home.
Kids are off sick, apparently. Though, maybe better now.
But it means calling in Chelsea last minute, extra wages, adding to the money worries they already have.
And Natasha sounds quite frustrated, saying Peggy didn't really let on how tight money would be.
Affecting their plans for forest dens and landscapers and things.
And there's that little dig, isn't there, that maybe Tom, Peggy's son, did better out of the will.
Yeah, a hint of resentment could definitely cause friction down the line.
Yeah.
Plus, just the reality of running a small business, how easily things get squeezed.
Very real, very relatable pressure.
So, wrapping it up, we've got Allan pondering peace, Peggy's funeral plans getting stranger by the minute new vicar, natural artwork.
Rex having an existential moment, financial stress at the tea room. Quite a lot packed in.
Absolutely. And it leaves so many threads dangling, doesn't it? What else did Peggy plan for the funeral? Who is this Crispin?
How will Allan handle being sidelined? Will Henry actually end up on the cricket team?
What will this artwork look like? And how will Natasha and Helen manage the money side of things? Lots to watch out for.
Definitely.
Which leads us to our final thought for you, the listener. Peggy's choices, these surprises in death, they kind of challenge our ideas about tradition, about who someone really is.
Mm-hmm. How do our own final wishes reflect our true selves? And how might they, surprise or even disrupt the expectations of the people we leave behind?
Worth pondering. What parts of your own life, your own self, might actually be unexpected to those closest to you? Something to think about.
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just moving mics around.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the arches. Any
Are you what we call Foley then?
Kind of. Yep.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production.
Yep. That's the bull bar. That's,
This one.
yep. That's.
Haley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. No. I mean, it would have been a stretch for them financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help them, Caroline.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever